Thank you very much, everyone. I hope this presentation is going to be interesting for you. For many cases, I loved the term of being superheroes that Oliver told us in the last session. I think that we not only have to understand that we can expand our senses, but we also have to apply those new senses, those superpowers, to new ways of improving everything around us. There is a lot of talk about sustainability, and I think that sustainability has many perspectives. One is, of course, related to the environment. We could also have economical sustainability, and there is huge importance in everything related to social sustainability. And today's project that I'm going to showcase here is really related to one of the main things that we as humanity have, which is our history. I think that everything related to culture and to all the heritage that we as humans have created through a lot of years in the past is something that needs help, that needs these superpowers, so that we can try to improve how all those, in this case, assets related to heritage are being affected by, for example, by global warming, by the usage itself. And the superpowers that we have come in terms of technology. We have IoT technologies. We can give life to those assets that didn't have any life before them. And for that, real-time data is here to support every organization, every company, every association that has the goal of trying to make a better use of everything that we have and trying to make better decisions, in this case, related to smart heritage. I am part of Integra. Integra is a consulting group based in Spain, and we are trying to, in this case, mix innovation and technology to find new ways of supporting all those causes. And for this, we have created what we call Integra Smart Heritage, which is the solution that I'm going to present to you today. I'm not presenting this solution from a commercial perspective, but more with the goal in mind of trying to show how technology can really be applied to certain use cases that might not be interesting from a business perspective, which in this case, culture and heritage most of the times is, but to really try to show that there's a lot of things that can be achieved, and we have to work together in trying to achieve this, okay? Why we did this is because we have people in our organization that has great interest and knowledge related to heritage, and we have also a lot of people that have great interest and knowledge related to technology. And when we combine knowledge, when we combine interests and focus, we are able to create things that can really have an impact in our surroundings. So what we did was to try to find a set of technologies. In this case, we as Integra, we do not own any kind of specific technology. We do not manufacture sensors. We do not resell specific software. We act as integrators. So we try to find the right pieces of a puzzle and build that puzzle so that something can be achieved. And we tried to find cases in where, in this case, heritage could be monitored in a way that we could really help those organizations that are monitoring those, in this case, assets. We found out that museums, ruins, that all kinds of assets, from art paintings to sculptures or cathedrals or every kind of historic building, is in this case, it has the potential of being monitored in terms so that we can try to help all the people that are trying to make a proper conservation of all these assets, so that we can help them in this difficult task that they have. One of the things that is most difficult about heritage is that creating heritage takes thousands, sometimes millions of years, but destroying it is sometimes, unfortunately, too fast. We are seeing that natural events, human interactions such as wars or maybe even kind of accidents can make heritage assets disappear in just seconds. So for this, we are trying to help so that all these situations are being avoided. What we really do for this is we combine different types of technologies. This is just an example of what could be done. And we combine many types of sensors, many types of gateways, many types of manufacturers, many types of companies that many of them are showcasing also here today, to find the right puzzle for every organization. So we try to combine all those pieces so that we're able to provide a single solution that in this case helps to solve the exact use case that the building or the ruins or the art piece needs in every case. And after that, we build a cloud solution, usually based on already available services from Microsoft Azure or from AWS, so that we're able to provide the proper tools to have everyone around the monitoring of the assets, making the right decisions. And what we think that is the best way of solving this use case is to finding a kind of standard way of communicating what we are achieving here. So what we really do is we support every organization that, in this case, manages heritage assets, in terms of structural monitoring, in terms of managing how the assets are moving from a tracking and conditions perspective. We help them in understanding how security is being applied to those assets. We try to help them into understanding what the carbon footprint of those assets is. And we also try to help them to have their customers, in this case, the visitors, having the greatest of the experiences and being communicative about what they liked and what not, so that also the activities can be improved. And for these 5 vertical use cases, I have a short slide showing what exactly we do. So in terms of structural monitoring, for example, we are collaborating with different companies that builds sensors, in this case, focused on detecting vibrations, on measuring inclinations, for example, of specific towers, to sensing and detecting deformations, displacements of some mechanical structures. We try to detect the load of a building. We try to measure the cracks and how they are growing over time. We try to detect oscillations. Many times, the principal assets of a city or even a country are located close to places in where there is a new building being done, or maybe something is being patched within the road. So we need to detect if all the human activity going around those assets is affecting, in this case, the asset itself. And we need to measure how much it is affecting the asset. And for this, we install different types of sensors. We deploy networks so that the whole system is easy to use. And we also build and utilize software platforms that are very easy to understand for every user. Most of the times, there is a connection between what the user sees and what the user understands from a specific platform. So here there is one key technology that is also being used specifically related to culture, which is the digital twins. When we talk about digital twins, we try using photogrammetry to generate 3D models of those assets, so that first of all, in case of something happening, they do not disappear. Even though they would be living in a digital world, they would still be with us, and our kids and grandchildren would be able to kind of visit and have a feeling of those assets, first of all. And second of all, it helps those companies and those organizations that are monitoring and that are, in this case, managing those assets to understand the problem with a higher precision. When we talk about assets, I usually refer to assets such as paintings, sculptures, and also museum, in this case, items, okay? And for this, one of the things that we are trying to improve in this vertical is that we're trying to help the managers of all those assets to have more traceability of what's happening to them. understand that between museums and culture ministries in every country, there is a lot of exchange of goods, assets. They try to have specific expositions where they showcase specific art, for example. And this makes that art and sculptures and everything else moves a lot around. So we are trying to help them understand how those assets move around. We are trying to help them into having connectivity, into having them, in this case, geolocated, in detecting light intensity, temperature, humidity. We try to detect shocks and if the asset has been, in this case, hit with something. And all of this can be also summarized and put in a very single platform in where the managers can have both a management system to understand the processes that are being followed and also information that helps them understand not only if the process has been executed, but also if the process has been done properly. When we talk about security, we are focusing on two main use cases here. First one is related to fire. One of the most damaging situation happening to cultural assets around the world is usually related to fires. We understand that because of how they are being built and maintained, sometimes it is difficult to have proper systems to protect and to detect without waiting to the damage being too high to it to be repaired. But we are trying to detect that much earlier, and we're trying to understand what are the conditions around how the fire in this case might start or spread in an accident. So for this, both fire prevention and detecting how people are in this case transitioning through restricted areas is what we are focusing on with the solution of Integra Smart Heritage. We understand that everything that needs to be put into a building, historic building, for example, needs to have two main characteristics. First one, it needs to be very low impact, both from the visual perspective and also from the installation perspective. We cannot just go to a historic building and drill holes to install a sensor. So we need to have, in this case, we need to work with devices that are very, very easy to install and maintain so that they don't affect how, in this case, the asset is behaving. And second characteristic is that we need something that is very, very autonomous, both from the communication perspective and from the power perspective. We cannot be going into a building and having a lot of new cables and a new technology to make those sensors communicate the data. So everything needs to be autonomous from that perspective. So this is the two main use cases that we focus on in terms of fire prevention and restricted areas. And carbon footprint is also one of the main, in this case, issues that we're trying to help solve with this solution. Understand that the carbon footprint of tourism is increasing year by year. So we understand that there is something to be done here. If we are talking that global warming and other human effects is something that is deteriorating the heritage assets very quickly, we need to help, in this case, solve the cause by itself. And it's true that only by sensing, it's not easy to reduce, in this case, carbon footprint, but by having everyone understanding and knowing the exact data of what's happening, we understand that it is much easier to make decisions that, in this case, help to reduce the carbon footprint of those assets. And to do this, we're focusing on four main areas. We're focusing on people. We're trying to help managers understand how many people, where they're moving around, how they behave. We're trying to understand everything related to transportation. If someone has to take a specific type of car to go to a location, then that will have a higher footprint than if everyone can just go walking by. And then we're trying to measure resources. If the asset itself generates around a lot of electricity consumption, a lot of water consumption, then the asset itself will be generating a higher carbon footprint that if those resources were not used. So by combining all these different types of sensors, we're trying to generate a solution that helps all the heritage asset managers to understand their carbon footprint and to make decisions that help them in reducing them. And the last use case is related to the visitors. There is a lot of use cases that could be applied in this vertical. And in this case, the solutions that are being applied are usually much more personalized. But one of the things that we're trying to help people is in terms of giving feedback by, in this case, integrating QRs, servers, and other sensors that generate communication with the users, also different panels in where they can click a button to see if they liked the experience or not. We are also trying to connect everything with review sites such as Google Review, connecting everything through APIs so that all the information can be integrated in one single place. And we are also measuring everything related to the visitor analytics. If we try to understand how our visitors are behaving, then it will be much easier for us to understand what we can do to make that activity, that experience itself, much more gratifying. We're trying also to measure what's the influx of people. Sometimes the activity itself is not something close. It's not I pay to visit a building, but I just go by, for example. So we're trying also to measure smart devices around by sniffing Wi-Fi and Bluetooth devices so that we're able to detect what's the influx of people, in this case, going around the specific smart heritage. We're trying to work with smart lighting environments so that everything is not lighting up, so that when people go around, all the lights just start in the exact point where they should. And one of the things that we are also trying to bring to all the heritage assets is related to the digital experience. We want everyone, we understand that everyone has two lives nowadays. We all live in the physical world and we also live in the digital world. And for this reason, what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring these two lives closer to every visitor in a specific experience related to heritage. So we are trying to create interactive experiences through augmented reality, through specific cameras that, in this case, for example, let you see yourself as if you were dressed in maybe in the 18s. So we're trying to bring everything closer to the visitors from a digital experience. And all those use cases, they are just possible because we have the right technologies and the right partners working on the right sensors. So for us, this project is not a project that Integra could do by themselves. This is a project in where we always have to work together with many partners. So from a systems integrator perspective, what we do is we try to glue everything together to make everything have sense for the customer and to really generate a real impact and have the customer have results on what they are, in this case, developing. This is just some screenshots of one of the portals that we developed with Integra Smart Heritage, in where, for example, we could navigate, we could have the managers navigate between the different assets within, in this case, for example, an abandoned village in Spain that was really affected by the civil war, and where most of the buildings are no longer useful, but they still have a deep historical meaning. So we still want to have them being where they are currently today, so that, as I said, our children and our grandchildren can visit them and understand about their history. So this is just one example of the type of data and platforms that we develop. But the most important thing is that it's not the solution itself that has the importance here, but it is the possibility of applying, in this case, innovation and technology to specific use cases that might not make real business sense from the beginning, but in where we can find ways of articulating how all the different companies work with this. Yesterday we had a visit here in Paris with UNESCO, and we tried to bring them an idea. And this is the same idea that I want to bring to you today, which is we're not talking today about certainties. We're not talking today about what can be achieved today. We're trying to make an impact on our culture and on how we see that the effects of innovation and technology could be applied around the world. So at least what I would love to get today, at least in your minds, is that working together, every company that is trying to innovate, and I think everyone attending here, LoRaWAN World Expo, is here because they have deeply an interest in innovating and in bringing new solutions around. And for us, everything that every company here is doing is just new possibilities so that we can improve more things together. Thank you very much. I hope the presentation was interesting for you, and I will be around today. So if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to come talk to me, and I will also leave my contact details here. So let's start making history by protecting it. Thank you very much.